Hi everybody. Today we're going to talk about 4 common errors that people make when they're taking photographs of their artwork and ways that you can fix those errors so that you can get a good quality image of your work. So the first issue that a lot of people have is something called keystoning. So keystoning is where you're taking a photo and you get reflected light back at you. That's not really an issue with this piece because it's a charcoal piece, but if I had a piece that was on like a shiny matte paper, so let's just look at this magazine, I'm going to get reflected light. So if you're taking a photo of something that is reflective, you might want to tack all 4 corners up to a wall and get it as flat as you can. So this could be, it could also be an issue with like acrylic paintings, possibly oil paintings. And so you want to get the surface as flat as you can. And obviously with like an oil paint, you can't get the surface any flatter than it already is. So you want to be really careful about your lighting source. And so you want to make sure that you have really even lighting. So what happens oftentimes is that we don't pay attention to our lighting. And so let's say I have like, you know, an extra light source here. You guys can see how the light from my phone is bouncing off of the page and it's creating kind of a hot spot in my page. So you want really even lighting. For the purposes of this drawing, I have pretty even lighting. I'm in the classroom, and so the overhead lights are doing a pretty good job of creating diffuse light. But this might be an issue if I was taking a picture of a different type of surface. So let's just look. This one, I can see some issues right away where I have some brighter spots and some darker spots. So I could try turning off the overhead lights and taking a photograph without any light. Another trick can just be making sure that you're taking a photograph during the day. So in a room where you're not like in direct sunlight, that can work pretty well. And another trick can be taking like a standing lamp and putting a cloth over your standing lamp, and that can give you a really soft diffuse light because the light is kind of, it's not so direct, it's not like a spotlight. And so making sure that you have good lighting. If you have physical pieces, remember that you can bring them into the classroom and we can work on photographing them together. And if you have digital pieces, the lighting isn't going to be an issue. So a third trick is really thinking about your background and what's surrounding your image. So a lot of you guys will kind of just like haphazardly take an image of your work and it's, you know, not straight and it's like not level. So making sure that when you take your images for your portfolio, that you're either photographing against something white. I'll photograph things kind of leaning against the whiteboard in the classroom, which isn't ideal, but you know, it works. On a flat surface or tacked up against the wall. So if you have white walls at home, just, you know, tacking your work up can be a really great way to take a nice clean photograph. If you have like an acrylic on board or an acrylic canvas, you can put thumbtacks like over and below, and so instead of trying to stick them through the material, you can kind of create a shelf with thumbtacks and then some angled thumbtacks at the top to hold everything up. You can also put something on a flat, even surface, and you are going to want a white background. So let me grab a piece of paper. So this paper probably isn't quite big enough, but I could create a white background with 1 to 2 pieces of paper and photograph with the white as my background. And I'd want to photograph so that I was cutting out all the extraneous things, all of the parts of my computer that you can see and the desk as well. So really thinking about your background. Don't, you know, take your portfolio pictures with like your work propped up on your lap or on a desk. The AP board is going to want to see, you know, very clean, high quality images. So the last tip I have for you guys is to try to take your photo as straight on as possible. This is really hard with an IPEVO camera, which is a individual point of view camera that I'm using right now. And it's very difficult to get it straight on. I would probably be able to do it with my phone. But again, it can be tricky to kind of hold your phone over the work and try to take a photo that's very even. So my recommendation would be putting your work up against a wall and making sure that when you're taking your photo, it's not slanted like you can see over here. I probably can't get the IPEVO camera to take a completely straight shot of the artwork because it's just, it takes a lot of finessing, and so it's just really tricky to do. So really trying to make sure that you don't have a tilted photo. We can fix that to a certain extent in Photoshop or even just in Photoshop Express. You can fix this, but it's going to be a lot easier if your photo is as level and straight on as possible. So those are the 4 tips that I have for you guys as you start to actually document your work. And we will certainly work on that in class, but for those of you who are virtual, I'd like you to know how to take better quality photos so that you have the best looking portfolio that you can when you're ready to present that to the board at the end of the school year.